Hey everybody, welcome to Mahoning Matters interviews. I'm Chris Pugh, the editor of Mahoning Matters, and we are getting close to fireworks season. A couple fireworks shows are scheduled this weekend, and obviously we'll have more as we get closer to July 4th. And air quality has always been a concern. I've always wondered what's the air quality like to have a lot of fireworks in the air. We want to get some good answers, and we have Glory Dolphin. She's the chief CEO at IQAir North America, and she's going to help us out as we determine what fireworks do to the air quality. Glory, first of all, thanks for coming on. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Great, great. Well, I'm curious about the fireworks. And when you see a good fireworks show, and I'm assuming any fireworks show can produce airborne pollutants. If it's like maybe a small local show or maybe one you see at a bigger city, what type of pollutants do fireworks produce?
They produce a very wide range of pollutants. In terms of PM 2.5, they produce so much PM 2.5, and we see this actually because we have an air quality platform, Air Visual, and we monitor the air globally. There's over 30,000 sensors on our platform. And just last year alone, when there was the 4th of July and we saw really the impact of fireworks. The United States had five of the most polluted major cities in the world, and that was
Wow.
not due to wildfires, but due to just 4th of July fireworks. So that's the kind of impact that fireworks can have on the air quality, essentially making essentially the US having the top five major polluted cities in the world.
What cities were there? Just out of curiosity.
They were New York
Hmm.
was one of them, Chicago, one of them. I believe there was also San Francisco.
Hmm.
So there were really just our normal, typical major cities, and sparking just from the 4th of July fireworks becoming major cities in terms of pollution.
Wow. And I would imagine too, like our biggest city in our coverage area is Youngstown. I'm sure probably the pollution level goes up in every city too, not just the top five. Then I'd imagine, right?
Yes. So our major cities ranking, it doesn't include every single city, but just major cities. So you can definitely make sure that that assumption is very accurate. So as there are fireworks being introduced, there is pollution being introduced, and you can see that pollution essentially on our pollution ranking for the U.S. So we have a world pollution ranking for major cities, and then we have a U.S. Major cities ranking. And yes, you can imagine that that assumption is true, and we see all of the cities with major fireworks topping that list.
We've read so much with the wildfires. I mean, that kind of affected a lot of the mainland U.S. What do fireworks shows do to impact the air quality and our health?
It does a tremendous amount. So similar to wildfires, there's a lot of folks that are affected by the impact of fireworks, especially our sensitive groups, the young, our children, the elderly, and also there's another category. It's called basically sensitive groups, and these are folks that have respiratory disease. They suffer with respiratory illnesses. They also have cardiovascular disease. It's hard for us to imagine, but the heart is tremendously affected
Hmm.
by air pollution, as well in terms of long-term health effects, even cancer. And folks, in terms of short-term effects, people that have autoimmune disease are also impacted by air pollution.
Around the time of COVID, obviously we were wearing masks to protect ourselves. I know some people were wearing masks during like the wildfires.
Mhm.
What would you recommend? I mean, should we wear one a mask if we're having some respiratory issues around July 4th?
Oh, absolutely. And not just a mask. In particular, it needs to be an N95 rated mask.
Hmm.
Sorry, in particular, it needs to be an N95 rated mask. And there's a big difference between the quality and types of masks. So we're not talking a surgical mask. We're talking about a mask that is actually designed to protect the user.
Hmm.
And those are N95 rated masks. When it comes to our masks, we also have masks. They are FFP2 rated masks because they're made in Germany, and there's a different standard for Europe.
Would you recommend that for everybody? Would you recommend that just if you already have respiratory issues or if you're very young or very old?
Yeah, unfortunately for me, I'm so deep in air quality that I can't kind of uh, I I would absolutely recommend it for everybody, and that's just because of what I know about what happens on the 4th of July. And there's just a tremendous increase. We're talking about could be 10 times the normal pollution level.
Wow.
So that level of pollution is not good for anyone. So, in terms of the AQI, there is the orange level that is basically unhealthy for sensitive groups that we just spoke about. But then there's the red level in terms of AQI, and that's what happens when there are fireworks. Fireworks actually trigger a code red level in terms of AQI. And so when it's code red, it's unhealthy for all people. And that's why I'd recommend a mask be worn outside when there's fireworks, because it's not just for sensitive people, it's unhealthy for all types of people.
And what time? I mean, obviously the fireworks are going to happen more toward dusk and at night, but would it still be unsafe, like maybe overnight or maybe even the morning after them? I mean, I wouldn't imagine you would need to wear a mask during the day on 4th of July, but it sounds like dusk on the 4th of July night. And how long would be the issue? Like, would it be all night or just for a little while after the fireworks show?
It depends on what's called the direction and the strength of prevailing winds. So it is affected, actually, air pollution is affected by the weather. And so what we need to do is actually, when we monitor this, it could be up to a day and a half. And
Oh,
it all depends on the weather mix, the meteorology that's taking place, along with the pollution, the level of pollution. How long were the fireworks? Was it a 10-minute show? Was it a 20-minute show? And this you can all monitor on with our Air Visual app that actually does real-time monitor. So it could be up to a day and a half. It could be in some cases up to 10 hours, and it depends on really the weather and the prevailing winds.
so this app can measure any type of air pollution from wildfires to whatever else may come in the future.
Yeah, it measures the most predominant type of air pollution, which is PM 2.5. And it also measures uh, all six pollutants. So you do have AQI, and there are six pollutants, and it will show you exactly what that main pollutant actually is. And predominantly, it is a PM 2.5 for wildfires. Also for fireworks, that predominant pollutant is PM 2.5.
Okay, great. And you find the app, do you look under IQAir? Is that where we
Yeah,
get the app at? Okay, great.
yeah. Your App
Fantastic.
Store, your Google Play, that's how you'll find the app.
The other thing, what are these fireworks made of? Is that what kind of leads to the pollution? What was involved in the firework itself?
Yes, absolutely. So there are a lot of metals that are in fireworks, magnesium, calcium, also, unfortunately, some heavy metals as well. So when these fireworks get launched and when they're exploding, you get an explosion of metals as well. And that's the unfortunate part. All those beautiful colors, the greens, the reds, the golds, those are all created by metals.
Wow, very interesting. Well, great advice. I mean, I know, with everything from COVID to the wildfires and everything else, I think we've gotten a little bit more aware of what's happening with the air around us. So thank you for the advice. Before I let you go, wildfires, is that still an issue? Obviously, has the air quality come down significantly from there, or are we still seeing some issues in some parts of the country?
Yes, unfortunately, wildfires will continue to be an issue. Actually, over the years, they're becoming more and more of an issue. We saw how what happened with regards to last year in the Canadian wildfires.
Hmm.
We saw that the Canadian wildfires were actually able to make New York um, the most polluted major city in the world for about over a day and a half. And that has nothing to do with what was going on actually within New York, but it had everything to do with what was taking place about 6 hours away in Canada. So wildfires, unfortunately, is something that is becoming more and more frequent, and the wildfire season is becoming longer. This year, we are seeing wildfires in other areas other than just California and the North West. We've seen wildfires even last year in terms of our World Air Quality Report. Wildfires made such an impact within the Midwest and also the East Coast. Uh, Really, truly, just challenging past years what was the most polluted cities in the US. We've seen cities actually within the Midwest having these most polluted rankings, and that's what made last year so unusual was the impact of these major fires within Canada, making such a difference in our ranking list in terms of most polluted cities.
So if we get another wildfire in Canada, we could have a similar problem in the future.
Yes, and unfortunately, it's already started.
Uh,
So, and the issue that we're having really with Canada is that Canada is such a large country in terms of land mass, and the U.S. Population is, I think it's about 300 or 350 million. And Canada has only 1/10 the population of the US, but has larger land mass. So it means that there's just a much more vast area of unpopulated land. And when you got wildfires that are taking place within just these vast areas, they do not get to have the response rate that's
mhm.
really necessary, and so that allows these fires to go out of control, unfortunately.
Great. Well, thank you for giving us that information and great advice. So, again, 4th of July, hey, there's nothing against enjoying fireworks. Glory's not telling you not to go to your local fireworks show, but be careful. And caution is helpful. You don't want to get sick from fireworks smoke or anything else. So, Glory, thank you so much for the advice. We appreciate it. Hang on for a second, and thanks for checking out Mahoning Matters interviews. Have a great day.
Thank you.